Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we're going to talk about, well, data. We're going to talk about information, how it's collected. And we're going to talk about a case out of San Francisco. News breaking from there that while it originates in San Francisco, it seems as though it's going to impact the entire state of California, and it very well might affect other states as well. We don't know yet. A district attorney in San Francisco was working a property case. And in the process of it, they came to believe that the police department in San Francisco was using DNA evidence obtained from a kit that is administered after a sexual assault against the victim years later. The kits, they collect all DNA samples. So the victim's DNA gets put into a database. It gets cataloged so forensics can say, okay, this is supposed to be here, this isn't. And then they can identify the perpetrator. And the DA has kind of come to find out, or at least believes, that that database of victims is being used to further criminal investigations years after the fact. Now, at this point, you have to stop and look at it from law enforcement's point of view for just a second. Because from where they're sitting, they have this database, they have this information. Why would they not use it, right? And the simple answer to that is that it might deter people from having that kit administered. People might not want to provide that information. They may not want to provide information that could be used against them later. It could have a chilling effect on the collection of evidence against somebody who you know committed a crime. When one of those kits is administered, a crime was committed. It already happened. The idea of putting a chilling effect on the collection of that evidence because maybe at some point in the future the victim might commit a crime, that seems like, kind of counterproductive. A crime already happened, and you can gather evidence on that crime. But it seems as though the police are willing to deter people from providing that evidence because they want to use that evidence against them later. You know, there is the idea in this country that you have the right not to incriminate yourself. I would suggest your DNA is part of that. And the person who elects not to undergo one of those kits out of fear of their DNA being collected, the person who attacked them, they may not get caught, which means they may go on to commit another crime because they've already shown that they'll do it once. Whereas the victim in that case, they haven't. This process seems to be very self-defeating. It seems to be prioritizing information collection over solving an incredibly serious crime. The DA bringing attention to this is, in my opinion, doing the ethical thing. We believe we have the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure, to be free from incriminating ourselves, to be secure in our persons. The DA says that there is no statement when the patient is administered this kit that says it could be used in this way. Now, all of this is, related to San Francisco. Reporting suggests that this practice of using this database of victims in this way is statewide. If it is statewide there, it's probably happening in other states. This is probably the first case that we're hearing about that's going to start a domino effect. And we're going to find out that police departments all over the country have been doing this. And once that information starts to circulate widely, there's even more of an incentive not to have that kit administered. It's an incredibly invasive procedure to begin with that is occurring right after something pretty bad happened. It's not something that people look forward to already. If you give them yet another reason to not do it, you're going to lose evidence that pertains to a serious crime, not a property crime. With the ability to store information that has come into being recently, the United States is going to have to grapple with this. We're going to have to figure out where the lines are, how long information is going to be kept, how much information should even be collected. And it doesn't just pertain to this, it pertains to electronic information and everything else. At some point, we have to ask ourselves whether we really want the powers that be to have total information awareness. And if that society occurs, where the government is aware of everything and stores that information forever to be used at a later date, how free of a society can it really be? If you look to most literature that pictures dystopian futures, a pretty constant theme is that, well, the government has records on everything. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.